Layla here and welcome to another video. Today, I'm going to be showing you guys how to create a sweater or a jumper like this one without using a pattern. So, the reason I thought of this is first, I was making this sweater. I just finished it today, or jumper, whatever you want to call it. I can show ya. This is what it looks like. It's super nice and large. It's actually extra large because I like extra large things. Like when it comes to jumpers and sweaters and sweatshirts and hoodies, like I love extra large everything. So I wanted to make this extra large, and I'll show you how you can make whatever size you want. But the reason I came up with this idea is because I was making a pattern with this jumper, and if you watch my previous videos, you know I already have a pattern for a sweater or a jumper, but I used acrylic yarn for that. For this one, I used 100% mercerized cotton, which is a totally different fiber, and I have to use a different hook size. The weight of the yarn is the same. It's a weight 4, but it's a thinner yarn. It's not as stretchy as acrylic yarn is. And basically I had to create a whole new pattern with a total different amount of stitches. And I had not worked with this yarn before making garments. I only made like a tapestry using it, so I didn't know how it would turn out. I stumbled on a knitting video that said how to knit a chunky sweater without a pattern, and I was like, oh my gosh, this could be my next video for crocheting, because I was literally like, how am I gonna make a pattern for this? And I was just winging it. And I wanted it to be extra large, like exactly. So here are some things you can do to make your own sweater or jumper without using a pattern. Every technique and like every single thing that I recommend in here, I used every single one of them. So I'm literally just telling you what I did to create my own pattern or to create a jumper without a pattern. I ended up creating a pattern out of it. The first thing that I recommend, now this you don't have to do at all, but I highly recommend it, because then you won't have to keep going back and rechecking everything. So first, you should definitely get a measuring tape, and I mean like one of these flat ones. I don't know what these are called, like craft measuring tape. Anyway, just get one that's flimsy and flat like this. And you're going to want to measure around your waist. You want to measure the length of your arm. You can also measure around your collarbone area to see like how wide you want your neckline to be. If you want a neckline, because you don't have to create a specific neckline. You can just work 2 rectangles and it'll still be fine. And you'll also want to measure the length of your torso and up to your shoulder. You can also measure the width of your shoulder, but I don't do that. All I do is measure the length of the front of my body. I measure the length of my arm. I measure around my wrist, just so I can see how wide I want it to be, how long I want it to be, and same thing for my wrist, how wide I want it to be, how wide I want the sleeve to be. So you can measure out your entire body, write down the measurements, and then crochet that amount. So if you're doing a front panel and you need 20 inches, you're going to crochet 20 inches. So you'll just single crochet, half double crochet, whichever stitch you're using, until you have 20 inches of that. And then let's say you want 20 inches for your torso. So after you crochet across 20 inches, you'll just crochet up 20 inches. And then that is how you can get your measurements. But here is what, like, I do that sometimes, but this time for this jumper, I actually got a sweatshirt that I use, and all my sweatshirts are extra large. So I knew that if I picked one, anyone would be fine. So I got a extra large sweatshirt that I wanted to use, and then I measured out how wide it was and how long it was, how wide the sleeve was. I measured even around the sleeve, like the upper part of the sleeve, to see how long, how much I needed to increase to make my sleeve fit around my arm. And then I started crocheting. So I crocheted, I'll show like clips. So I crocheted the ribbing of this jumper, and then I laid it out and measured it out to see how long, if it matched up, because I got the measurements for it. It said 24 inches. So I did 24 inches of ribbing. That was perfect. And then I saw how long the sweater was, so I can see how long I needed to make my front part and my back part. And I was like 28 inches. So all I did was create 28 inches of rows. And that is how I did it without a pattern. I wrote out how many stitches I used just so that when I create other jumpers of the same size, they will all be the same size and I'll know exactly what to do. Take a shirt, take a sweatshirt, a sweater, and just measure out the length of it. And then as you crochet, keep checking and see if it matches up to the size that you want or the size of your example, like the sweatshirt that I have. And then I did the same thing for the sleeves. So for the sleeves, I just crocheted the cuff, and then I crocheted the sleeve part. I increased enough and wrapped it around my upper arm to see if it will fit. If you need more like instruction on how to do that, I do have like 2 sweater videos that I did. Wait, 2 or 1? 1 or 2 sweater videos that I did. You can check and see how I increased to make it fit around my arm. But if you already know how to crochet and you're just here to see how to crochet without a pattern, then I don't really have to go in depth with that. This is not how to teach you how to make a sweater itself, just how to teach you how to make it without a pattern. So that is really all you need to do to make a sweater without a pattern. Just get your own sweater or sweatshirt that you own, if it's the size that you want, small, medium, large, extra large, and bigger, or smaller, because, you know, there are smaller sizes if you're trying to make it for a kid or if you're trying to make it for someone who is super small. That is what you can do. Get an example, measure out how long it is, and just crochet to the length of that sweater. And then do the same thing going up for the front panel, and then make the back panel the same size. Do the same thing with your sleeves. Sometimes if you just go based on the measurements, it might come out a little smaller or a little bigger than you intended because of tension. So tension is just how tight or how loose you crochet. And for me, I do crochet a little tight, so I would have to make things a little bit longer just so that when I do crochet it, when it scrunches up, it will still be the length that I need it to be. If you don't have a measuring tape, if you don't have any size that you actually want, like size sweater that you can take out and measure out, then all you have to do is just crochet, right? Just forget everything. Forget the measuring tape, forget the sweatshirt and everything, and just start crocheting and just keep putting it up to your waist until it gets, like, if you want it fitted and you get to the length that you need to fit against your body, then you know you can just start crocheting the front part if you're doing ribbing. If not, then just crochet until it's the length that you want or the width that you want. Keep putting it around your waist. I like extra large things. Before I figured out that I could actually measure out my other clothes, I was just putting it against me. I would crochet like an example, or you say it? I don't know how to say it. I'll just crochet a sample. Yeah, a sample. I'll crochet out like a sample and I'll put it against me. I'm like, nah, that's not big enough. And I'll keep going and keep going and keep putting it against me. I'm like, okay, yeah, I think this is wide enough. And then I would stop my ribbing and go up with these stitches and then go as long as I wanted it. And just keep crocheting. And the great thing about not using a pattern is that you can do whatever you want. You won't feel restricted, because like when I first started reading patterns, I would feel like, oh my gosh, if I change any little thing, like I'll mess up everything and I have to go exactly to what the pattern says. And it's like, no, whoever made the pattern went through the same process that you did with trying to figure out the sizing and everything, and it wasn't perfect. And I think that's what people have to remember. I have to remember as well. Like, you do not have to go exactly as the pattern says. So without reading a pattern, just crocheting freely and putting it up against yourself just to see how wide or how long you want it, how small you want it. I think that's like the best way to make items, but it's also great to write them down as well, because if you want to recreate that exact size that you made, you want to like remember, and you don't want to have to go back and recount everything, because I'm sure it'll be in the hundreds or high 80s or something. It'll just be too many stitches to count, okay? But yeah, those are the things that I did. Everything I said in here, I did every single thing. I measured out myself. I even measured another project. I mean, not another project. I even measured out a sweatshirt, a hoodie, and I put it up to myself as well to see, and I still went based on the measurements of the hoodie, but I still put it up against myself just in case, you know, just to check. I don't know why, like math is never wrong. Like 24 inches will always be 24 inches no matter what, you know, but I still have to double check and triple check. I think that's it. If there are any other recommendations you think could be good for people who are making stuff without patterns, let me know in the comments down below, because typically I do make everything without a pattern, but since I turn it into a pattern, it's like, did I make it without a pattern? Even though like I turned it into a pattern, it's weird. It's weird. But yeah, either way, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what other kind of videos you want me to make. I do make tutorials and basically everything crochet because I love crocheting and like, I just want to make a video on everything crochet. But I do plan on making more graphic jumpers. I'm going to use this pattern. For my graphic jumpers, they won't all be tutorials. A lot of them will be crochet with me's because making tutorials on graphic jumpers, as you can see from my avatar tutorial, it takes a long time. It's a long process. And I want to enjoy making my graphic jumpers while I'm filming as well. So yeah, we'll see. Some will probably be like time lapses or tutorials, but we'll see. All right. Make sure you follow me on my Instagram and my Twitter at Kopy with 2 eyes. And if you recreate anything using my patterns, please tag me so I can share it with everyone because I love doing that. I think that's so cool. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I think I already said that. I'll see you guys next time with another video. Bye.